I bet you didn't expect to see me back this quick, but guess what? I've decided that you need to know how to make your own Cajun Blackening Seasoning. So, like I told you, you can buy many brands of Cajun Blackening Seasoning. I make my own, and I do sell it. Of course, I sell it in, pint jars and whatever, but that's not the point. You can do this, and I think that once we start demystifying all of these different things that you can do with cooking, you'll realize how easy it is, and rather than constantly going out, you can become your own favorite chef, which is kind of what I've done all my life, and Ryan has enjoyed that, yes.
Yes.
So, here's how you do it. Cajun Blackening Seasoning. The basic elements are seasonings, herbs, spices. Okay, when I say seasonings, I'm talking about things like salt and pepper, garlic, pepper. When I'm talking about spices, I'm talking about things that are going to add a little bit more flair, like your chili powders and whatnot. Your herbs, that's also part of what helps with the blackening process. So Cajun Blackening Seasoning can go on like we did today. It can go on, we're going to not worry about that. It can go on short ribs, it can go on steaks, you can do it on huge pieces of meat and throw it on the grill. My favorite way to make a blackened steak is to actually do it on the stovetop on extremely high heat in a black cast iron pan, which is going to smoke out your house. But the flavor is unlike anything you've ever had in your life. So if you've never experienced a really good Cajun blackened steak, I highly recommend it. And here's how we're going to make this seasoning today. It's very simple, and I'm going to even demystify this a little bit for you. Ryan, it's a little high. My head's getting dizzy. I'm going to demystify this for you by showing you how to measure with your own hand so you can see how it is that I'm constantly throwing things into bowls with seemingly not measuring. I learned how to measure by hand when I was very young. So here's how you're going to do it. As I go down, you might want to take the opportunity right now to grab a pen and a paper or turn your phone on to like an open text message or your notebook and read it in, because I tend to go a little quick and I know that. But you can also replay this video many times, and it is going to be uploaded onto our new YouTube channel, which you can go back and watch it 1,000 times, because they are coming off of the Facebook page, by the way. I put them up, they're on for a day, they're gone tomorrow. So, but the YouTube channel will be there forever. Now, the elements are, first one, paprika. And with paprika, everything is going to be measured by tablespoon. With paprika, we're starting off with 5 tablespoons. Okay, because like I say, I make a lot of it at a time, so this is no exception. All you have to do is remember to halve this. Do it in half. This is 4. So if I'm doing with 5, half of it would be 2.5 tablespoons. Okay? So important to remember. I do most things by double because I tend to cook for a lot of people. 5 tablespoons of paprika. No, you don't have to show them the paprika. It's just 5 tablespoons of paprika. Okay. Okay. To 4 tablespoons of kosher salt. And by the time we're all said and done, you're going to notice how little salt there is actually. Okay, so you got paprika, kosher salt to start. 4 tablespoons of garlic, which means 2.5, 2, and 2 of what I just said. Okay, that's 3 and 4 of garlic. Okay? Everything else now is going to be in 2, which means for you, if you want a lesser amount, do it in 1. But you're going to end up using Cajun Blackening Seasoning so much that you're probably going to want to keep around a relatively large amount of it anyway. And it's great to put into small jars and put a bow on it and give as a gift. So don't be afraid to make as much as I am. I'm going to stick with my recipe, and you can break it down if you'd like. So what we've started off with was 5 tablespoons of paprika, Spanish paprika, by the way, smoked. 4 tablespoons of kosher salt, and 4 tablespoons of garlic powder to start. Now we're going to go on to the pepper. Everything now is in terms of 2. Okay? Black pepper. And if you know me, you know that I always grind my own black pepper because, well, why wouldn't I? You can too. Get a coffee grinder, dedicate it to your herbs and your spices. Now here comes the product I promised you. See that? We're not going to measure anymore. We can already see what a tablespoon looks like. So if you can see what a tablespoon looks like, and my measurements are usually dead on accurate, learn to trust yourself. You'll be right. These are each 2 tablespoons. Learn to trust yourself. You'll be right. If you over pour, don't pour it in. Pour it back. There you go. Now, what am I adding? Sorry, I'm going ahead of myself. I'm using Mediterranean basil, celery salt, oregano, and tarragon. I tend to prefer Mexican oregano over any other kind of oregano because it has a richer flavor. Do not put a wall between me and my spices. Parsley flakes. Okay? And my favorite, and something I don't think anybody else uses in theirs, but is just an amazing addition, herbes de Provence. There's an abundance of flavor in these herbs. The blend is just superior. And when you put it together in your blackening seasoning, man, that alone is enough. Now, same thing again. We're using chili powder. This is where we differ. We're still at 2 tablespoons. But when I say defer, it means I use 3 different kinds of chilies, not for more heat, but for more layers of flavor. So I use plain chili powder. This is Mexican chili powder. This is one of my favorite brands, by the way, Badia. You get it in the international aisle. It will completely blow your mind how less expensive it is and how much the quality is much better. Chipotle. Some people are afraid of chipotle chilies. Don't be. Don't be afraid of anything. This is cayenne pepper. And again, 2 tablespoons. So how did I remember what 2 tablespoons is? I measured it in my hand and I took a look. Watch. You'll see what I just did, and you'll see I'm still going 2 tablespoons now of onion powder, and you're going to see that it looks like exactly what I've been putting in this whole time. Okay? Now, once that's all done, if you take a look, it's not as much as you think. Generally, I would use a whisk to do this, but I want to show you, get your hands up in there, man. It's so much better. You can feel what you're doing. You can break things apart better. Nothing should really be too much to break apart. Look at those herbs in there. Oh my goodness. The ones that are standing out are the herbes de Provence, and the flavor in this is unbelievable. Now, how do you actually Cajun blacken a steak? Very simple. Get yourself a nice cut of meat. I personally really prefer the ribeye. I'm a fan of ribeye, and I don't like the bone in. I like the boneless. Okay? You take your cut of meat. Make sure it's room temperature, so let it rest. Coat it with olive oil. Let it sit for about 2-3 minutes, and that's it. Take and pour this all over the steak on both sides. Roll it around the edges, and again, let it sit for about 5 or 6 minutes just so it seeps on really well and sticks to that meat. While it's sitting and resting, get your pan up very, very hot. When your pan is extremely hot, then add your oil and just layer it in. Walk away, but come back regularly because it's going to start smoking. All of these different herbs and seasonings are going to smoke. They don't burn. It looks like it, but they don't. They call it blackened, but it's not actually burnt. The flavors are just, Turn it over, hit the sides. A smart person will sear it to the part that they want it with grill marks or maybe just a little bit of crisping, and then throw it in a 400-degree oven until probably anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes. 10 minutes you're going to have a well-done steak. 5 minutes you're going to have a medium rare. Cut and enjoy. Now this, excuse me, it's starting to float up at me. We're going to pour into our spice jar. And I always keep extra jars around this house. Goodness knows there's probably 30 or 40 of these things. Different spices. They're filled with ghee. People ask me, 1 second, let me get a sip. I need more beets. People ask me all the time if I would send them spices or herb blends, and I do, of course. And by the way, Steve Morgan, if you are looking, and maybe you are, if you are, don't think I've forgotten about your last set of pasta. I've just been waiting to be able to do it where I can actually make a video about it from beginning to end. So there you go. If you have any questions about blackening seasoning or pretty much any herb blends or anything like that, please feel free to ask. I'm here for as long as you'd like me to right now. And there you go. When all is said and done, you have a perfect jar of seasoning. Now, a jar this size might cost you about $12 or $14 in a grocery store. This is probably about $3 if you make it by hand. I sell it for more than that. Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? Because you should be able to do this stuff on your own. But if you want me to do it, there's a premium. Just kidding. serious. So your best bet, now here's the thing, I gotta find all the right jar lids, and I will. What I want you to do is challenge yourself. Again, go to the grocery store and look for alternative spices in the international aisle. Go home and try them out. What you're going to find is you're going to be able to find spices for so much less.